Hi, this is Benjamin with Asseta, and I'm going to show you a few of our product updates for the month. If you go to the top right-hand corner and click on your username and go to Account, under Security, you'll see two new ways to securely log in. You can add a passkey, which is a good way to skip using a username and password altogether. This is a very secure login method. You can also use an authenticator app to set up two-factor authentication, which we also highly recommend. Moving over to banking, we've enhanced the bank reconciliation in Asseta. Now, under the bank reconciliation report, you're going to more clearly see your cleared transactions, including checks and payments, and your uncleared checks and total uncleared transactions. If you scroll down now, you'll see more detail around what cleared and what's still uncleared and outstanding in the system. Over on the transactions page, we've also added an update to allow you to modify the date that Plaid sends transactions in with. If you click on this date under For Review, you can modify this if it's not supposed to be in April and should be in May instead. You'll still see the original date Plaid sent over, as well as the new date you've selected for this transaction. You won't be able to change the date on any categorized or matched transactions. Also, if you click on the institution, we've updated the Asseta balances. These Asseta balances will now more accurately reflect the chart of accounts and the balance sheet balances. So you'll be able to see your current balance as compared to your ledger balance. Additionally, we added the ability to have multiple connections. So if you have multiple Schwab or Chase logins, you can now set those up and they'll both flow through to the same custodian tab. In reporting, we made three updates to key reports. The general ledger report has been updated to now start income and expense accounts with a zero balance at the beginning of the year. This will better reflect moving into a new calendar year and starting over with a beginning balance of zero as of 1/1/26 or whatever your fiscal year begin date is. So you'll see all expense and income accounts will start at zero and move upwards from there. On the income statement and the balance sheet, we made a big enhancement to the way that parent and sub-child accounts work. Now, if you look at these child accounts, we have website, QuickBooks, internet, and cable, all rolling to office expense. You can see they're indented here, and they'll each have their own balance, including the parent account, which you can code to. However, if I collapse this, you'll see the parent account balance now adjusts and includes these balances from the child accounts. Until you collapse it, the parent account will either be zero or have a balance of its own. When you collapse it, it'll be the sum of all of the parent and child accounts. You can save this save this report as you collapse accounts. And just like with the account types, if you collapse them and export them, it's going to honor those collapsed account types. And finally, we added a new trial balance detailed report. This report will now have total debits and total credits. The other trial balance report will have net total debits and total credits. If you'd like help adding this to your environment, please let us know. We also modified the way the subsidiary selector works. Now, each individual user can reorder subsidiaries based on their preferences and which subsidiaries they're most likely to go into. This will be set per user. So if I, as a user, move this entity to the top, it's going to be set for me and only me. I can rearrange these entities beneath their parent, but these subsidiaries can't be moved to another hierarchy without altering that for every user. Our last big updates for the last couple weeks are around dimensions. We moved dimensions into the general ledger section under the chart of accounts for easy access. We've also expanded the ability to have required dimensions to AP and to banking. Before, they were only in journal entries. So now, if I have an asset class of, let's say, stocks, I can require that it have an income type of dividends. Or if I have an asset class of bonds, I can require that it have an income type of interest. This can also be applied to the entity dimension within bill pay. So if I select a certain entity, I can require dimensional values, perhaps the properties or the ownership. On the dimensions page, I can set up these relationships by clicking into any of the dimensions. So for example, with asset class, I can click into here and see which of these dimension values have relationships to other dimensions. If I click into stocks, you can see that 3 different entities are tied to the relationships of stocks. And if I click on this pen and paper here, you can add new entities manually one by one. We've also expanded this capacity for bulk upload. So if I add a bulk upload, I can either create new values by uploading them to this asset class dimension, or I can update existing values. When you update existing values, it doesn't have to only include a single dimension value. I can include bonds 4 times with different related dimensions and different related dimension values. And that's all of our updates. Thanks for watching, and please reach out if you'd like us to cover any of these with you in person. Have a great day.